Hello, and it's Wednesday, and we're back to Wednesday. It's time to tap with me on EFT and hope. And today we are going to talk about what if things just got better? What would that be like? And I'm looking at my notes because it's a really interesting idea. Is that what is your belief about how to get better at stuff, or how do things get better, or how do things change? I know change is very much a theme, but I was looking at what would happen if I just let things happen, how would we say, naturally, without trying to force them or complicate them or make them necessarily about me. So I thought we would do a bit of exploration on that. And we're talking about things in general, like the way we look at life. Do we think that life is smooth and easy, and we trust that things are going to work out okay, whatever happens to us personally, things are going to work out okay? Or do we think other things, like, do we feel like we have to work really hard? We have to strive. We have to fix things. We have to change things. So let's have a little exploration of that. The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes if you feel like it. I'm always assuming you are not driving. And ask yourself, what is my attitude to life in general? How do I perceive life? Do I perceive it as a smooth road, something quite that I enjoy, is quite easy? Or do I perceive it as something that is more of a challenge, more difficult? Or do I perceive it as something that's incredibly difficult and is a struggle? Do I look at it from a point of view of life is a struggle, life is a series of crises, or life is a smooth path that I trust more or less things are going to be okay eventually, generally? And let's think, just think about that. And if you are, as I always recommend, if you have your notebook with you, write down a few thoughts about how do you perceive life? What's it like? And you might even think that life is something that is other people's problem. Sometimes people do that, you know. So have a little think. Which one is it? Are you somebody who goes from crisis to crisis, or perceives life to be a series of crises back to back? Are you someone who finds that everything has to be a struggle, or indeed a drama? Sometimes people do that, think that life is an endless series of drama, and they feel very uncomfortable if there's no drama around. Or do you think that life is smooth and really nice? And if you do think that life is smooth, can you please send some of it my way, because I'm not terribly good at that. Okay, so now you have something, and we're going to tap on the side of the hand as we usually do. And we're going to say, especially because I've discovered that new one, especially because I believe, fill in the blanks, about life. I accept myself. And especially because, for me, life is whatever you wrote down. I accept myself. And because life has to be this way, I always feel, fill in the blanks. And I accept this is where I'm at right now. Okay, this is where I'm at right now. And I believe this to be have a think, what is the number? How strong is your belief in this? Okay, just have a little think. I believe that life is whatever, a struggle, a drama, a series of crises, or a smooth path. I accept myself. Okay, and I believe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then we're going to just tap on that, tap the side, top of the head, And then go to the side of the eye and think to yourself, I believe this, whatever it is, at a, whatever the number is. And then the corner of the eye there, underneath the eye, still thinking of that, underneath the nose, chin, collarbone, underneath the arm, and breathe. And again, revisit your belief. So I believe whatever it was, and it's, oh, what is it now? How strong is your belief? So for example, you could say, I believe like that life is a series of things I need to be fixing. Okay, so something goes wrong and I have to fix it. That's the way I live my life. And that's a really strong belief, or was a very strong belief, and maybe now it's gone down. So at the thought of that belief having gone down, for example, I believe that life is a series of things I have to fix. My belief's gone down, let's say, to a 3 for the sake of argument. How do I feel right now? Okay, so now we're going to tap, and even though my belief about life and the way I handle it has gone down, I feel, now fill in the blanks, what do you feel when you're thinking, I no longer believe that everything has got to be fixed by me? Possibly. I accept myself. Even though this belief has got less, I wonder whether another belief is ready to take its place. And I'm curious to find out what this belief could be. And I am inspired, I'm waiting for inspiration here. I wonder, what would this belief be that would replace my original belief? What else could I believe? For example, if I believe that life is a world of crisis, one after the other, what could be a lesser belief? What could it be like? Would it be life is easy peasy, or is that too much? Or would it be life is not as complicated and difficult as I thought it was, generally, and I accept myself? Okay? So then you're going to tap and you're going to say to yourself, I wonder what that belief would be. Well, how could I change it? What would it change to? So if you were, for example, to say, I'm somebody who needs to fix everything, that's life, I have to fix things, you could say, well, not necessarily. There are some things I cannot fix. And how does that feel like? Or sometimes there's no drama. Or sometimes life is difficult. If you believe that life is always smooth and easy, then you could say to yourself, well, actually, the reality is sometimes life is difficult. And I accept myself. So you have a choice, and you choose which one you fancy. And try to fix it in your mind. And tap the top of the head and breathe. And then I want you to think, close your eyes and think, what would be the new belief? So we've had the old belief, and now we've kind of brought it down, and now we're having a possible new belief, which is what we just tapped on. So have you got the new belief? I hope you do. So, for example, using this idea of, I don't have to fix everything. Some things are not fixable by me. I can't fix some things. Or I can't have so many dramas in my life. Only one at a time. And see how that lands. Because when we want to change patterns and beliefs, we don't want to go through the actual opposite of what we used to believe. So if you go from, I believe life has got to be difficult and complicated, to I believe life should be smooth and easy. Can you see it's impossible to just go that leap? It's too big a leap. But you could go from I believe that life is a series of drama and it's really difficult, to I believe that life doesn't have to have that many dramas in it. And see how that would land. Okay? And then you have to do a round of tapping to anchor the new belief, to root it in, so that you begin to identify with it. So it's kind of becomes more comfortable. So we just take the new belief. So we take the old belief and then we take the new belief and we put them together. And we say, even though I used to believe, fill in the blanks. You've been working on your life, the way you look at life. Even though I used to believe that life was a series of disaster, an endless crisis, a terrible drama, or indeed simple and easy, I accept. This is what I used to believe. And I am now prepared to contemplate that life could be not that bad after all instead. Or that life could be less dramatic instead. Or that I don't have to fix everything instead. And I accept this is my new belief. This new belief of mine is replacing my old belief. And I accept my new belief. And then we're going to integrate the new belief. And basically you're just tapping on the normal points and you're thinking my new belief. So at the start of tapping like that, you might find it's quite odd because it's not quite part of you. But persevere in your new belief. This is my new belief, my new belief. And then think to yourself, how much do I actually believe this? And then think, well, if you don't believe in it, if that was a 2, great. So it's a 2, my new belief. And then think to yourself, I wonder whether a 3, what would that be like, a 3? Maybe I could have a 3. Maybe I could believe at 3 in my new belief. Or perhaps a 4. How does that feel? Does that feel comfortable? You don't have to go to 10. We are being patient here. 4 sounds good to me right now. So I'm believing it as a 4. Oh, look, it's gone up to 5. Yeah, I think we'll stay here. I'll believe it at 5. And I accept myself. It's a 5. And then you stay with your new belief. You've written it down. You had the old belief. You now have the new belief. And during this week, when you remember, you tap on the new belief. So, this is my new belief. Even though I have this new belief, and again you ask yourself, how strongly do I believe in it? So it's a different way of looking at things. When we look at the problem, we try to get the numbers down. When we're looking at the focus of changing something, a 2, but it would be nice if it was a 5. And we are being cautious about this. We're not going mad about it. We're not going from 0 to 10 because that will be counterindicative, obviously. So that is what I suggest you do this week. And if you're interested, it would be lovely. As I always say, nobody ever makes any comments, but she said, but that's fine. I do these broadcasts because I believe that maybe somebody someday will listen and find them useful. So today we were looking at what is your belief about life? Is life a series of struggles? Is life really a series of crises? Is life an endless drama? Or is life quite simple, really, and smooth? And then we looked at how could bring it down. So that was the second round. And then the third round was we looked at what and how could you sort of tune down your original belief and make it a manageable change. I hope you enjoyed this session. I'm looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday when we meet again at 5 p.m. Dublin time. You take care. Bye.